Ahoy, mortals! It is me, InsanelyADD, and I am here today with a SpeedPaint that I made for the second anniversary of SkeleChara, which was on the 16th of April. As I'm recording this, that was about 11 days ago. Today, I think I'd figure, I'm not really... I think it's more fun when you watch a SpeedPaint and people, tell you about the process, or, the story, I think that's just more interesting than just music, So, today I'm going to tell you about how I came up with SkeleChara. So, me and some friends had been talking about how often we see AUs where Azrael is brought back from being Flowey, and how sometimes Chara is brought back, but Azrael is brought back first. Chara is always, the secondary one. Or Gaster is sometimes, but mostly if it's Azrael, then Chara also gets brought back. So, I thought it'd be really interesting if Chara could be brought back in an AU, and not Azrael. Azrael stays Flowey, and that was the main reason I made the AU. Other reasons I made the AU include Sans would be involved, but he wouldn't be all-important and crying all the time, or always pissed off like he is for some reason in a lot of AUs. Papyrus is important, and he's not treated like a child because I'm writing him, and if I treat him like a child, then I have been undoubtedly replaced with a horrible doppelganger who, is probably consuming my very flesh as they make these terrible lies and falsehoods about Papyrus being an incompetent child. So yeah, if you ever see me doing that, I've been replaced by a shitty clone. Do something, and potentially save me so I can get back to making good Papyrus content. Another reason I made this comic was because, I wanted an opportunity to, write Chara as, a troubled, traumatized child who has violent impulses, but that doesn't make them Satan, reincarnated, walking amongst us, that stuff that's everywhere. So yeah, I just wanted an AU that was chill and cool and had all the characters that I really liked doing stuff that I didn't see them doing very often, like Sans actually being chill for once instead of, a hyper-aggressive douchebag who's crying or yelling at people, even though literally not canon, but okay. And Papyrus being the ambassador, which is a canon ending, but everyone doesn't seem to realize that it's a canon ending. I get asked sometimes when I make Ambassador Papyrus content what AU it's from. But that's fine. Most people choose the Ambassador option when they get the True Pacifist ending, so they wouldn't know that it's a canon True Pacifist ending. Currently I'm doing the line art for Gigi, which is the fake grandma I gave the Skelebros. It's based off the Gigi font, Gigi, that I really like. It's like a creepy, twisted, gnarled vine cursive with lots of curls in it and stuff. But also, I gave it to this skeleton who's married to Grandpa Semi, who's, based off of the files from the demo that were never used in the final version of Undertale. I made her specifically because I wanted there to be a lady relative of the Skelebros, because, there's Gaster, who's a dude, and there's Sans, who's a dude, and there's Papyrus, who's a dude, and there's Grandpa Semi, who's a dude. So, I wanted there to be a lady skeleton. I figured Gigi would be great, because 1, I get to use my favorite font, 2, she is SkeleChara's great-grandma in this. And the thing about that is, I have a great-grandma who's still alive today, and she, even though her name is Mary, doesn't like to be called Great-Grandma Mary, she likes to be called Gigi. Which stands for great-grandma, obviously. So I just thought that'd be a fun little callback or nod to my own great-grandma. So that's what I did. And I styled her actually to look like my maternal grandmother, not my maternal great-grandma. Wait, no. It'd be paternal great-grandma. Yeah. So, yeah. This picture is actually kind of loosely based off of an actual family photo that's in my maternal grandparents' home of me, my baby sister, my mom, who's pregnant with my second sister, and my aunt, my grandma Barb, who, like I said, is Gigi's appearance is based off of. And my great-grandma Evie, who died shortly after, and my great-grandma Marion, who didn't die until 2004. And, so yeah, it was a picture that they took because it was a very rare chance to get a picture with 4 generations of people in it. I think I have a scrapbook with a picture that is 5 generations in it, which is me as a baby, once again, my mom, my paternal grandmother, and then her mom, and then her mom's mom. So yeah, that's a really fun thing. Right now I'm drawing Gaster, and normally I would draw him looking more like the Mystery Man sprite, you know, like no nose hole, and I personally lean towards him looking like a mist than, you know, a slime. That's just my personal interpretation. Normally I would draw him like that, but it's a family photo. He's pulled himself together and cleaned up real nice for it. That's my explanation. And also because I didn't want to have to do, like, the weird clashing, lineless mist effect that I use for him. It would look really odd and draw your attention away from the main theme of the image, which is a family. Also in the family are Toriel and Asgore and Frisk, because, you know, Toriel and Asgore adopted Chara when they fell into the mountain. And in SkeleChara, Frisk is adopted by Toriel, but they still have a human dad who's really nice and cool. He rides a motorcycle. The whole thing is, like, Frisk doesn't have a mom, so they're, like, cool with Toriel. And they're also cool with Asgore being, like, their second dad. But for the most part, Frisk lives with Toriel and their human dad, and they co-parent Frisk. And because of Chara's previous relationship with both Toriel and Asgore, they also co-parent Chara with Papyrus. Even though Papyrus is, like, their primary parent at the moment. So yeah, they're included in this family photo. Frisk's human dad isn't included in the family photo because even though Frisk's human dad is related to Frisk, and Frisk is kind of in the same family by adoption to Chara, I don't know, that's just too nebulous of a connection, you know? So yeah, here I am drawing her in a nice little outfit. I was originally going to put pinstripes on her skirt, but then I was like, haha, detail can die in a fire. I do wrinkles. I do, like, the subtle lips and tucks of clothing. I don't want to have to draw pinstripes, okay? Let me be, okay? Let me live, right? You know? Like, Grandpa Semi's, shirt was also supposed to be plaid because he's based off my Grandpa Bruce, who was married to my Grandma Barb. But I was like, no thanks. God. Because, like, plaid is, like, 3 different colors. There's the base color, and then there's 2 different stripe colors or more. And then I would have to shade all of them, but I would have to do them, like, on different layers, overlapping, and, you know, make shadows for, like, all of them. Oh, God. The thought of it all. Terrifying. Anyways, now I'm drawing my favorite boy in the entire world. It's Papyrus. You know, one time I was contemplating, like, it was the middle of the night, so I was, like, you know, kind of stupid, because when you stay up really late, like I do, you just have dumb, silly thoughts. Anyways, my dumb, silly thought was I should email Toby Fox and ask him if I'm allowed to marry Papyrus. Like, sir, I like this character. Can I marry him? But I was like, no, if he said no to that, well, 1, that's just weird and creepy thing to do. But 2, if he said no, I would probably actually die. Like, just literally instantly, my heart would explode inside my chest, and I would be a corpse. You know? Just one of those things. I'm just gonna stick to admiring him from the shadows. Not Toby. Toby's cool, but I don't like him like that. But Papyrus. I love Papyrus. He's great. I feel like he gets the short end of the stick a lot. That's another reason why I made the AU, because I was very tired of, like, oh look, a new comic, oh look, a new AU, oh look, a new fanfic, and then Papyrus is dead. Oh well. Like, you know how Sans in the Genocide run is like, why'd you kill my brother? Why do you keep killing my brother? Well, imagine that, but it's me, and I'm like, why do you keep killing Papyrus? And I'm yelling at the fandom who keeps killing Papyrus, and it's like, you know, some people's favorite character isn't Sans. I'd very much like to see Papyrus not dead, not just be a scarf decoration ornamenting sands to indicate his eternal sadness and turmoil. You know, I'd very much like to see Papyrus be important in a story. You know, I do get that his character is hard to write for a lot of people, and also his face is hard to draw. You know, the combination doesn't make him very conducive for lots of fan content. But it's really interesting, because, like, so many people say that Papyrus is, like, their favorite character, you know? Or one of their most favorites. Like, very, very few people legitimately hate Papyrus. It's kind of fun, you know? But, yeah, so I just want to see more stuff from my favorite characters important and not dead, you know? God. Anyways, I'm getting salty. That's for another time. I will be salty eventually, but this is not the time or place. Anyways, drawing hands is hard, but it's not as hard as some people like to say. Well, for me at least. For them, I 100% am sure that it's hard for them to draw hands, you know, because hands aren't easy. But, like, in my personal opinion, there are 4 super hard things to draw. And in order from least hard to the most hard and evil and awful, and I hate it, is human hands, human feet, which for reasons that everyone should be aware of, I never want to draw, and then it's skeleton hands, because the metacarpals, and then the hardest of all, the thing that makes me reach my hands into the sky and would make me scream if it wasn't for the fact that I live in an apartment building with really thin walls, skeleton feet. On 2 occasions, I've had to draw them, one for a request related to a follower raffle I did on Tumblr, because their character was, like, wearing high-heeled sandals. And the other thing was when I, one time, a long time ago, drew the arrow redesign where he's wearing flip-flops with no socks or anything, so it was like, yes, I have to draw from the front angle his foot, and from the total profile his foot. And it's the bones. The bones. How they mock me. It also doesn't help that there's not a lot of really good references for skeleton feet. Like, now I have, like, this pose a skeleton thing that I use. But, at the time, oh my god. I was in hell. I was suffering for all eternity. For all time. Maybe another time I'll do, like, a speed paint of my versions of the Bastard Squad, which is Arrow Papyrus, Ink Papyrus, and Fresh Papyrus, because they're fun. Oh man, that'd be so fun. Now that I think about it, I really want to do a speed paint of them, and just talk about how terrible they are. They're all bastards, therefore I call them the Bastard Squad. Anyways. On to the coloring. At some point in this... Oh, whoops. I did Papyrus's suit on the entirely wrong layer. I was so annoyed. I was like, oh god. I want to explode. You know? Like, I don't want to die. I never want to die. But it's just like, the frustration in my very bones compelled me to, like, burst into flames. You know, like the guy from Fantastic Four or something. Like, just controlled explosions of fire shooting from my very body. But I'm fine. It's just the anger seeping out that way. Combusting. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? Anyways, so, yeah. I was so annoyed, and then I locked the bottom color, the bottom layer, so that way, if I tried drawing it, it would say, you're not allowed to do this. And I honestly should really do that more often in my drawings. I only do it once I've fucked up already. And so, you know. Anyways, so, later on, when I'm doing the shading, I realized that, like, the contrast on a lot of the colors is pretty decent, except for Papyrus's suit, because I had drawn the flats for his suit without considering how they would look with shadows. And with shadows, the contrast isn't high enough, because I didn't want the shadows to be, excuse me, I keep saying the word shadow, and it probably doesn't even sound like a word anymore, but I didn't want the shadow of the coat to match the flat color of the vest, because they're really close. And so, like, they were very low contrast. Like, you could still tell, obviously, that it was meant to be the shadow. It wasn't so low contrast that you couldn't tell that there was meant to be a shadow there. But it was very low contrast in comparison to the shadows of all the other colors in the picture. So it was just something I had to fix. I also had to do that with, like, Gaster's turtleneck and the little collar thingy on Toriel's blouse at one point, because I realized, oh, those are not dark enough. They are very, very light, you know. So that's what I had to do. This is my 4th time re-recording this. First time, I got interrupted and I had to explain my favorite headcanon to some friends. Second time, I got way, way too aggressive and salty. Third time, it was very late and I was kind of just being stupid and not staying on topic. And I, like, realized 10 minutes to the end of it, after I had been ranting for 20 minutes about how great Papyrus is, that, oh wait, I could have said more about the actual image and not just about how much I like Papyrus, which is relevant to the image, because I wouldn't be drawing it if I didn't like Papyrus as much as I do, you know? But, not the point of the picture. Anyways, so, yeah, I had a lot of fun. Asgore's outfit is a little different from how I normally draw him. Like, my headcanon for Asgore's outfit is that, like, both Toriel and Asgore have 2 outfits. One is like a wartime outfit, which is what Asgore wears in Undertale, and one is a peacetime outfit, which is what Toriel wears. Now, pre-Buttercup incident, they both obviously would have been wearing their peacetime outfits. And my headcanon for that is that Asgore's is like a simple cape, and a tunic, and a pair of pants. And Toriel's is obviously her gown. But during the war, they both would have obviously been wearing their wartime outfits, because, like, you know, it wouldn't make sense for, like, Asgore to always be wearing a full suit of armor, and Toriel to always be wearing a gown in, like, all the situations that they've lived through. It's kind of silly. Obviously, they've probably had many, many outfits over the years, because, you know, fabric doesn't live as long as immortals. That's just how it is. So, yeah, in this, I drew them wearing, like, peacetime. Well, Asgore's in his peacetime outfit, and Toriel is wearing her, like, casual post-pacifist outfit, because the peacetime thing no longer applies because she's no longer queen and such, you know? So she's got, like, some very relaxed outfits now that she's just a school teacher and such. And, yeah. I really like, honestly, the colors I picked out for Gigi. I think they look really good. I also have a picture of them that I need to do, because they're the parents of Gaster in this AU. And, like, honestly, the more I think about, like, how Gaster is related to the Skeleton Brothers, the more I think that he's probably a 3rd brother. But, you know, whatever, it's an AU. It wasn't always going to be 100% canon compliant, because, like, we have no info on Gaster. Anyone could be right. Everyone could be wrong. Who knows? I don't. You know? So, like, anyways, so Grandpa Semi and Gigi, Grandma Gigi, are the parents of Gaster in this AU. And in this AU, Gaster is a revived skeleton like Chara is, but Sans and Papyrus are natural-born skeletons, which is a secondary form of reproduction for skeletons in this alternate universe. I haven't really decided what it is. I don't really care. It's not relevant to the story, you know? So it just hasn't come up. It could be one of a billion other headcanons I have for how skeletons have children. One of them involves eggs. And no, it's not weird. Like, it came from a post I read about how when chickens don't have enough calcium in their diets, they'll pull calcium out of their bones to make their eggs. And I was like, oh, that's really neat. That kind of means that, like, an eggshell is kind of a bone, or bone adjacent. What if skeleton monsters could summon eggs? And then, like, the whole headcanon in this AU is that, like, a revived skeleton has to be near the skeleton that revived them, you know, because they need to feed off the ambient magic to gain strength to form their own soul, and etc., etc. So it's kind of also derived from that headcanon, in that the egg has to be near the summoner or other people, and, like, little monster will form inside the egg based on the ambient magic that it absorbs from the people around it. Kind of like, you know, how normal eggs, to hatch them, they need heat, and obviously to be fertilized, but like, you know what I mean, right? So yeah, it's like that concept, basically. So that's like the egg headcanon I have. I'm not saying it's canon in this one because, wow, how wild would that be? Actually, I mean, I guess in Deltarune, Gaster is sort of associated with eggs, and on a technicality, he is an Easter egg in the original Undertale, so the idea that he could have had this whole forms an egg with magic, fills it with magic, boom, baby. Like, this whole idea of that, this headcanon of mine, isn't, like, entirely impossible, I guess? How wild would that be? Anyways, so, just a lot of asexual reproduction involved for skeletons, because, why not? Because I feel like it. You can't stop me. Anyways, so now I'm onto the shading, and, I forgot to record the first few things that I shaded, actually, because, like, I had been streaming, most of this. I didn't stream the sketch, because I didn't think to, and the next day I was like, oh man, you know what I should do? I should record and stream this, that way I can, like, put up a SpeedPaint. So that's what I'm doing, obviously. But anyways, I was streaming something else before I started the recording of the shading, because I didn't start the stream with the shading, I started with something else. So I forgot to record a little bit of the shading, but it's not a lot. It's just like, I think Sans' outfit? Maybe? I don't even recall, it wasn't a lot, so it's not a big deal. Anyways, so yeah, now we're on to the shading. It's a very fun part. You know, I changed the speed that these clips are playing at, because there's several clips. I changed the speed that they're playing at because I figured it'd be more fun to, like, you know, see the line art sped up, because line art is very repetitive for me, because I'll, like, redraw a line until it's perfect. I don't really care about, like, you know, repositioning it or using, like, vector tools to, like, get it perfect the first time. I'm just like, whoops, I just swing my whole arm to make a curved line, and then I'm like, that didn't turn out great. Undo, and then redo it, and then undo it, and then redo it until it's perfect. Or good enough. And then I erase what isn't good, and then I just redraw that part, you know? As, obviously, you can tell from watching the line art part. But anyways, so I super zoomed through that, and then I super zoomed through the colored part, I think. Wait, I don't remember which parts are slower than others. In any case, there's some parts that are slower than others because I think it'd be more interesting to watch those parts more carefully. Like, hold up. I'm gonna... yeah, the original first part is times 8 speed. Second part must have been the start of the coloring, times 4 speed. And then the continuation of the coloring is times 4 speed. And then the shading is times 8 speed. Yeah, altogether I think that this video, before all of the speeding up that I did, is probably 3-4 hours, and as nice as it would be to just ramble on for 3 or 4 hours about how much I love Papyrus, well, I'm recording these things on my phone, not the video, obviously, my voice I'm recording on my phone, because I don't have a microphone hooked up to my computer, for a long list of reasons that I don't want to get into. But in any case, I don't have a microphone hooked up to my computer. I don't want to sit here watching this video playback on Windows Movie Maker because every other video editing tool that I've ever tried is horrible or costs money, and I have none. So, you know, I don't want to, like, sit here for 3-4 hours and just ramble, because, like, my rambling is bad enough already, okay? I don't need to encourage it. So, yeah, right now I'm doing the shading, which is basically... I do a second layer, and because of the way Krita works, it's like, oh, I can see that there's a color right below what you're using the fill bucket on, or like there's an empty space in the line art right below what you're using the fill bucket in, even if the line art's on a different layer, you know? And so it'll detect the shape that can be fillable with the fill bucket. And, yeah, that's how I normally do my shading. Oh, here I am, doing the colors. I'm changing them on the reference image, too, because it's going to be a permanent change. Like every time I draw him in his suit from now on, this is what the colors are going to be. I think the base colors remained the same, except maybe the vest base color maybe got made darker, because it would make it easier to do a more contrasting shadow, as you can see. Yeah, so there's that. And, getting close to the end of the video here. Not super close, obviously. Oh, another fun fact, Flowey's in this picture, obviously. I keep forgetting to mention him, because he's so tiny. He's such an itty-bitty little boy. But anyways, yeah, Flowey's in the picture, and he was like, I will be in the family photo, but only if you allow me to scowl like I just got a shot taken for the flu or whatever. You know? He's just like, I hate this. I will not allow myself to be happy. I hate all of you. I want to set you on fire. He's just very grumpy, you know? He's very, very grumpy, which is fair. He's a flower that never sees the sun. Of course he's grumpy. I had some, like, troubles with Sans' arm shadow here because I knew that his arm should cast a shadow on himself. It's just a matter of how it should be exaggerated by the curve of his body and also the angle of the light, you know? Just a whole bunch of factors. And also, at another point in the, at another point when I was drawing the line art, I realized that I had accidentally used a really, really dark gray instead of a black. I don't know where I used it. All I know is that it showed up on my swatch list off to the right side by the color wheel, where it shows colors I've used. And I was like, ah, hell. Which of these lines is super dark gray and which of these lines is black? I didn't want to deal with it, so I just, I darkened all of the lines on the line layer, which means like the slight highlights on the glasses of Grandpa Semi and Gigi are made black, so I have to go back over them with like white and light blue to make them not that anymore. Oh, and there's Flowey. If you notice, he's wearing a bow tie, and he hates it. He despises every moment of it. He's like, I hate it, you know, because he's like permanently a 10-year-old. I think he'll get better, but you know, he needs therapy first. Everyone in Undertale needs therapy. There's my hot take about Undertale. Every single person in Undertale needs therapy. Boom. Hottest take of them all. Because, like, everyone seems to think that Sans needs therapy and everyone else is fine. Nope, everyone needs therapy. Have you seen half the characters in Undertale? Everyone needs therapy. Like, I think Asgore is obviously suffering from some kind of PTSD related to the war because, you know, that's just my headcanon for, like, why he reacted so much when his kids died. It probably, like, brought him back to the war or something. That's my headcanon. And then Toriel probably also was brought back to the war, and that's why she left, you know? Everyone needs therapy. Like, Sans obviously has depression. He's managing it pretty okay, I think, but, you know, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to go see a therapist when you have depression, as long as the therapist isn't a piece of shit. If your therapist is a piece of shit, fire them as your therapist and get a new therapist. There's some good advice right there. Don't continue to see a therapist that is a jackass. Like, if they make you feel like your problems are insignificant, bullshit. You're seeing a therapist for a reason, aren't you? Like, honestly. That's my advice as someone who goes to see a therapist. Well, not right now. I'm calling my therapist. Well, she's calling me. But in any case, you know what I mean. Everyone in Undertale needs therapy. 2020. Chara needs therapy, and Flowey needs therapy, and Papyrus needs therapy because he's obviously, like, really lonely. I'll be your friend, Papyrus. And, like, yeah, everyone in Undertale needs therapy. Alphys needs therapy. Does Undyne need therapy? Yeah, maybe. Maybe she needs therapy. I think she has anger issues, which could be worked out in therapy. Everyone in Undertale needs therapy. Woo! There's my take of the day. Everyone in Undertale needs therapy. And I'm going to keep saying it. I'm just going to keep saying it, because it's true. Oh, and here I am darkening the shadows on Toriel's collar. Nice. And, yeah. if you notice, I haven't done the stripes yet on the kids, and that's just because I always do that last, because it's a pain. Like, if you draw the stripes on the same layer, that means you're going to have to draw the stripes in the same place on the shadow layer. But what I find easiest to do is to, in Krita, like, I make the stripes on their own layer, separate from all the other layers. And then I lock the opacity, which is the little lock thingy up there at the top next to where the eraser turns blue when I switch from the pen to the eraser tool. Is literally the button right next to it. And what that'll do, and there's also one specifically on other layers, where like you can make it layer specific lock. But anyways, so I'll lock the opacity on that layer, and then I can just draw the shadows over a, well, first of all, I changed the opacity of the layer too. So like, it'll be like a half see-through layer so I can see the shadows where they lie beneath the stripes. And then I'll use the opacity lock to draw the shadows on. And then I bring the opacity all the way back up to full, and boom, stripes. Very nicely placed. So yeah. I have some more SkeleChara stuff coming up. I've just been so scatterbrained about working on it. I think it was like partially, well, there's like a whole bunch of stuff at play, honestly, but I think it's mostly due to the fact that like the world is on fire right now and it's not very conducive to being productive. If it's making you productive, that's perfectly fine, but some people are just like struggling because it's stressful and stuff, and that's also fine. So yeah, I'm just struggling a bit. And also, the other reason why I haven't finished the next page yet is because back in December I accidentally deleted my Tumblr blog like a total fool. So yeah, that was great. I remember I was deleting side blogs, and Tumblr is stupid, and it's like, are you sure you want to delete your blog? It doesn't specify if it's a side blog or the main blog or even the name of the blog. It's just like, are you sure you want to delete it? And I was like, I was deleting side blogs. I was like, yes. And then it was like, you can make a new account if you want to. And then my entire, like, my soul left my very body. And I was like, oh, fuck. And I literally had a breakdown because I've had that account since 2012, you know? It was like, shit. Not only that, but I had just gotten over 5,000 followers, I think. And I was so happy. Like, I'd finally been getting recognition for, like, the fan art and comics that I did with SkeleChara and stuff. And I had gotten, like, a nice, decent following. And I was just, I was so happy that I was finally making other people happy with what I made. And that they were interested enough to follow me. And then my blog got deleted because I'm a fool with terrible, terrible ADHD. Anyways, so these last few touches I did was I put a gradient map on it to make the colors more harmonious with each other. And then I merged all those layers down, duplicated that, and then put a gradient map, not a gradient map, a Gaussian blur over it, set at like 2.6 or something, to like give it a nice, clean, touched, you know, like Photoshop quality, to make it look like an actual picture. So yeah, that's my SpeedPaint. I hope you all enjoy it. Have a nice night.